Hello, my aviation viewers. You thought that I have forgotten about you, but no, I have not. So today I'm uh, I'm resuming my YouTube aviation videos. So the last aviation videos that I posted, I believe, was about the airspeed airspeed measurement of an aircraft flying. So I don't think I need to go back and revisit the subject, because I believe that those of you who are interested in my aviation YouTube videos have actually watched the subject, the video that I posted on the subject of airspeed measurement. What I really want to cover today is the indications that of the airspeed. That's what I want to go over today. Airspeed indications. So, you know, the when an aircraft is flying, the pilot has in front of him or her instruments that indicate the status of the flight. So as far as airspeed, you know, there's there are three main ways that airspeed is measured, is indicated in flight. The first one is IAS, IAS airspeed, no, indicated airspeed. Indicated airspeed. Indicated airspeed is the readings of the airspeed indicator in the flight compartment on the pilot instrument panel. So every time the pilot wants to know at what speed he or she is flying, he or she looks at the airspeed indicator, which gives the indicated airspeed. But there can be some instruments, I would say some instrument errors that occur in specific situations or conditions. So one is the instrument error itself, and also position errors. But when either of those cases occurs, there's a chart. Look, there's a chart located near the instrument that shows the errors that occur at certain situations or certain conditions in flight. And all the pilot has to do is look at the chart, which is for the IAS, which is a instrument error chart or position error chart. So the position error, well, let me say a position error can occur when, well, if the static port on the aircraft is located at a location, well, is located somewhere on the aircraft in which the local air velocity is not exactly equal to the free airstream velocity of the aircraft. So the static port on the aircraft, which is in relation with the pitot tube, has to be located, at a specific location, okay, for accurate information, for accurate readings by the pilot. So this is something that during the design and manufacturing of the aircraft, that is taken into consideration. The location, the proper location of the static port. Okay. So because if it is not located at the proper location, then that will not be good for the indications in the flight compartment. So the next one is the IAS. No. The first one was as I mentioned, IAS. That's IAS. But this one, the second one, is CAS, calibrated airspeed. Calibrated airspeed. We had indicated airspeed IAS. Now we're looking at CAS, calibrated airspeed. Calibrated airspeed occurs when corrections have been made to the IAS. Let me repeat that. Calibrated airspeed occurs when corrections have been made to the IAS. So mainly the calibrated airspeed indication is responsible for giving correct information, correct data when a fast and high altitude aircraft is in action. When a fast and high altitude aircraft is in the air, okay, it is subjected to something called ram air effect. Ram air effect. So that means when the aircraft is at a high altitude, So the air, the ram air entering the pillow tube tends to deflect the diaphragm of the system too far. So that will give the pilot the wrong readings, the wrong data on the airspeed indicator, because the diaphragm has a limit that he has to be deflected to give accurate readings to the airspeed indicator. And as a reminder, the airspeed indicator measures dynamic pressure. Okay, so this is something that we need to keep in mind. The airspeed indicator in the flight compartment indicates dynamic pressure. Okay, so what the pilot needs to do in this situation at high altitude, when the ram air enters the pillow tube and create that, that increase in the diaphragm's deflection. So the pilot needs to do something called compressibility correction. So there is a compressibility correction chart provided by ICAO, and is always available to the pilot on any aircraft. Okay, any type of aircraft has that decompressibility correction chart. Okay, so that's the way the pilot handles that situation, at high altitude. As a rule of thumb, though, at approximately 22,000 feet and 200 knots, the compressibility correction must be made. Okay, now I'm going to see another airspeed indication. That's EAS, which stands for equivalent airspeed. When you hear equivalent airspeed, think of calculating or calculation of true airspeed, which is TAS. So EAS, equivalent airspeed, occurs when corrections have been made to the CAS, calibrated airspeed. So mainly after making the compressibility correction, okay, one correction one further correction needs to be made, and this correction is to calculate true airspeed, which is TAS. But how do you do that? Well, we need to remember that the airspeed indicator, in the flight compartment measures dynamic pressure. So, and we also have to remember that we have to take in consideration the density of the air when talking about anything about airspeed. So we know that as an aircraft increases in altitude, the density of the air decreases. So, and we know that the airspeed indicator only measures dynamic pressure, and the dynamic pressure depends on the variations of the density of the air. So now, to actually calculate the true airspeed, a correction of the air density ratio must be made, and that correction is radical of density ratio. Radical of density ratio. That's the correction that needs to be made, okay, with regards to the density of the air in order to calculate true airspeed, which is TAS. And after what you will end up having is a formula that is like this: TAS true airspeed equal EAS equivalent airspeed over radical density ratio, which is represented by lowercase sigma. Okay, so basically TAS equal EAS over radical lowercase sigma, and that's the way the pilot, okay, calculates the true airspeed. And where does the pilot find the values of radical sigma? Well, they find it in the ICAO standard altitude chart. Okay, I have covered the role. I have covered the purpose, of the purposes. I would say the purposes of ICAO. And ICAO stands for International Civil Aviation Organization. Okay? And then one thing that you need to remember when it comes to the density ratio. Okay? You have to remember the density ratio is going to be like, to calculate the density ratio, you have to know the density altitude and the sea level standard density. Okay, so the density altitude, okay, over the sea level standard density, that gives you the density ratio. Okay, and again, sigma density ratio. Okay, so what is the sea level standard day density? That's what I should have said. Sea level standard day density, okay, is 0.002377 slugs cubic feet. That's the sea level. That's the sea level standard day density. So when the aircraft flies, wherever it is, okay, the pilot can find out the density of the air at that altitude by referring to the ICAO standard atmosphere chart. And then that density, that number, is going to be divided by the sea level, by the sea level standard day density, and you get your sigma, which is the density ratio. And the true airspeed depends on the variations of the density ratio. Okay, because remember, you know what density is. I know you know that. So basically, that's what I wanted to talk about today. If you want to know what I have said about about measurement, about airspeed measurement in general, you can go and find my YouTube video that covers the subject. Okay, so that's all I have for today. So have a good day.